What up? What up? What up? We are here. We are here. I am back with you. It is your boy Big Clout, without a doubt, here to make the people scream and shout. Now, I really want to give my take on this Tory Lanez verdict. I really just want to run through it, get to it, and let y'all really know how I'm feeling. Um, Now, if you saw my last video, you might have a little bit of understanding where my mind is at towards the situation. I was talking about protecting black men and talking about how oftentimes black women or even women in general skirt accountability. And I think that with this verdict, that rings true more than ever. And I say that because, when we look at the situation that happened between Meg and Tory, you have a situation where he's being accused by two completely unreliable witnesses. We have two witnesses that were both intoxicated, two witnesses who both lied and were caught lying. And I think that the chain of events and how they lied matters. And I just feel as though this is being disregarded in this situation. Um, with now Tory, the charges that he got aren't really, if you really look at them, he's not really being accused of intentionally shooting Megan. He's being accused of assault with a weapon, of having an unregistered firearm, and reckless, use of the firearm. Now, why I find still all of this interesting that he was even been able to found guilty is because if I just start with the gun, if the gun doesn't have your prints on it, it's not registered in your name, because that's what he had, an unregistered firearm. It's like, how do you then determine where the gun even came from? So it's like, I get that you're charging him with the gun, but how do we even determine, where did the determination come from that the gun belonged to him? There were apparently, allegedly, four people in the vehicle. One of the people in the vehicle was never even at the trial, which seems strange, So how do we know that the firearm didn't belong to this security guard? How do we know that the firearm didn't belong to Kelsey? How do we know that the firearm didn't belong to Megan? There are four people in the vehicle, and I just don't understand exactly how they established who the gun belonged to, or the origin of the gun. That's one. Um, Now, when it comes to what I said about the unreliable witnesses, now, Megan, not only did she lie about the nature of the relationship she had with Tory Lanez, I mean, you can go back and see interviews and go back and listen to the things she said on Instagram Live. And she very specifically said that she was in the driver's seat, in the passenger seat. And she said that the two people were arguing in the car seat behind her. And she said Tori stood up over the passenger window, over the back passenger window, and started shooting at her. Now the reason why that's strange, because the court testimony says that Tori was in the front seat and her and Kelsey were in the back. So I'm trying to understand how you can trust the testimony of a witness who doesn't even know where they were sitting in the car. This person said that she was in the front and the two people were fighting in the back. I believe that's what she said on Gail King. But in court, Tori was clearly in the back seat. I'm sorry, Tori was clearly in the passenger seat, and she was in the back seat with Kelsey. So that alone, right there, how do you mix that up? How do you confuse what seat you were sitting in, and publicly put that out? Then we have just the third thing, which is like the fact that there was a gag order on Tori, but not one on Megan, so she was able to go on interviews and completely lie about the nature of their relationship and completely gaslight everyone in America into thinking that this dude, like, let's just say I believe that Tori shot her, right? Let's just say I believe that, and I believed 100% that he shot her. The fact that you're lying about the nature means that you're hiding something, because if he shot you, then wouldn't it help your case to say that you had a sexual relationship with him, to say that, oh, he was a slighted lover and decided to shoot you? But there's something to hide. Then also, I feel as though the the obvious fight between Megan and Kelsey and the struggle that they had, I feel like that wasn't included. Now, why that might not have been included in this situation, because obviously neither Kelsey nor Megan were on trial. Only Tory's on trial, which is fine. However, just from my original point of not even knowing who the gun belonged to, I feel as though they should all be on trial for possession, at least for the possession of the gun, because we don't know who they should all be being charged, because we don't know who the gun belongs to. So if we're gonna say that, okay, the gun belongs to Tory, we got to figure out how you're coming to that conclusion. No DNA, no fingerprints. Now, granted, not every time a person touches a gun are there going to be fingerprints on it. But I'm just trying to understand how a guy in swimming trunks who just left the party in swimming trunks, who was still in said swimming trunks and barefoot when they were pulled over, I'm trying to figure out where that guy would pull a gun from. Now, as far as my understanding, again, I don't know who the security guard was. Did the gun belong to the security guard? And if the gun did belong to the security guard, then why would the security guard have an unregistered weapon? Why is the security guard not being held accountable for that if that was the case? Now, another thing is like chicks carry purses. So I definitely believe it's more likely that a female was able to carry a gun than Tory being able to carry a gun in with his shorts on. But then you know what? Guys carry purses today too, but I saw no evidence of that in the car or anything like that. So who knows? I can't speak on that. I'm not saying any of that is factual, and I have no clue. My overall point, though, is that there are clearly inconsistencies in this entire case. There are clearly witnesses that both have clearly lied or made statements that weren't true or said things and changed them later. So for those to be your lead witnesses, you know, that doesn't make sense. Meg literally said on IG Live that she was walking away. Her back was turned. So if your back was turned, how do you see who's shooting you? It doesn't make sense. Then it's like, okay, we continue to make this thing where we say, we know Megan was shot. We know Megan was shot. We know Megan was shot. Where are the fragments? Because if we're going to sit here and say Megan was definitely shot, which is, I'm not saying she wasn't again, but usually there is evidence of that. If you're saying you removed fragments from her foot, but the fragments cannot be found, that's a problem to me. That's a big problem to me. Especially when you see that person twerking on a supposed injured foot almost the next day. To me, that's a strange occurrence. You know, you're trying to put someone in jail for shooting someone, and your evidence that they were shot, which is this fragment that you allegedly pulled from their foot, it's nowhere to be found. And if it's nowhere to be found, like what kind of criminal investigation is that? That y'all are pulling bullet fragments out of a person's foot, and that those bullet fragments aren't being kept in evidence to make sure that they are, and they're not being tested to make sure that they are in fact bullet fragments and not sediment of rock from stepping on something in the street. How do we know this? We don't. So I think that that's one of the things that those are some questions that are completely overlooked. I think the change in Megan's statements about where she was in the car is something that's been completely overlooked. I think this entire thing with Kelsey pleading the fifth and having gunshot residue on her is completely overlooked. And I think that motive doesn't stick in my mind. At least to me. Again, I wasn't at the court, but in my mind, motive does not stick. What is his? Please explain to me the motivation for Tory shooting her. I don't get the motivation. Why? Because she said he couldn't rap? You don't think somebody who's been rapping for all this time has been told that he can't rap before? Somebody who's a career rapper, you don't think that they've heard someone say that they can't rap? That just seems weird to me. I mean, then another thing that's completely doesn't make sense is in what circumstance ever does your friend witness you get shot by someone and then stop being your friend? What circumstance? It don't. I don't care what type of beef you going through with your friend when you was drunk. If somebody try to hurt your friend, your best friend, all that's gonna go to the side until I'm sure my friend is good. And I think that's how most people feel about it. So for you and your friend to stop being cool immediately after this altercation where you're the victim of this crazy man shooting you, it just doesn't seem to stick. The story don't make sense. A story that seems more realistic is you and her was fighting. Your big ass Molly whopped her, and then she got tight, pulled the gun out of her purse, and got it popping. Now, one of the things that they keep bringing up in court is that Tory Lanez apologized. So, because he apologized, they're saying that that's an admission of guilt in somewhere. That's what I've heard in the ethos. And to me, that's the most ridiculous thing because we're always told that as men we should take accountability for our part in this situation. So what you're telling me is that this person who apologized for something is now trying to skirt accountability, but then you're also telling me that their immediate response was to apologize, right? Those two things don't make sense to me. To me, what a person like that would do would immediately deny what happened and try to gaslight you. So the type of person who would shoot you for no reason is usually the type of person that's going to gaslight you and tell you, "Oh, you don't know what just happened. You didn't see what you just saw, XYZ." But to apologize to you, I mean, and first off, who said that he ever apologized just because he apologized that he was apologizing for shooting someone? He could be apologizing for his role in the entire situation transpiring. I mean, he was messing with two women. You know what I'm saying? And allegedly trying to mess with a third. You know, so I definitely think that there's a lot of strange things in play with this court case. But at the end of the day, you know, um, we're supposed to be tried in front of a jury of our peers. I highly doubt he was tried in front of a group of black men. So around his age. So it's like it's kind of whatever. But at the same time, you know what? It is what it is. I do respect the court's decision. It is what it is. They found him guilty. He's probably gonna appeal, but they found him guilty, and whatever happens from here, whether he did it or not, either way, he's going to pay for it. So at this point, it's like that doesn't really matter. But I think to move forward on just besides my disbelief on the situation, I really want to say that I think that this is a perfect example of ways that black men need to really step up our game, and we have to acknowledge like Tory made a lot of key mistakes. Now, again, I am not of the personal opinion or belief that he shot her. I'm not saying it's impossible that he did it, but I am not of the opinion, or I do not believe that he did. I personally think it was Kelsey. I could be wrong. Again, I wasn't there. I wasn't in the court case. Right now, we're just speaking my opinions and feelings. We're not speaking on any facts because I wasn't there at the end of the day. I'm just telling you from what I see, how I view it, right? But with that said, I do believe he made critical mistakes. And this is something that we don't talk about a lot of the time in the black community, but or even for men, but it's like control your dick, bro. Like we got to get like almost every great man that has been torn down by a lack of control over his sex drive, a lack of control over his penis, the desire to be sexually satisfied too much. It gets to a point where where lust for men can become an extreme problem. And this situation with Tori is a clear case of that. It's obvious. I mean, you're already smashing Kelsey, then you're smashing her friend, which is kind of a violation. I get it. It's cool. Oh, I smashed her friend, but I mean, it's kind of a violation. You know what I'm saying? Because like you're smashing, they're close to each other. Somebody's gonna feel away eventually, and then you're invited by a female to an event, and then you start hitting on another person at the event, allegedly. If that's true, then it's like my boy Tori, you made a lot of poor mistakes. Like that just wasn't considerate as a person. That wasn't a considerate thing to do. That wasn't wise. That wasn't tactical. That just wasn't good thinking. Like So that's one. Controlling your dick, like even if you listen to the type of music Megan the Stallion makes and what she says about men, that should tell you that that is not a woman that you want to associate yourself with. That that's a woman that being around her is going to cost you in some way or the other. And Tory Lanez, this has cost him for messing with Megan and her friend. This has cost him, and he's going to be paying for this for the rest of his life. Honestly, he's going to be paying for this for a long time in one way or the other. And so we really, as men, have to exercise self control and discernment in the type of women we choose to involve ourselves with, the type of women we choose to be in enclosed spaces with, such as a bedroom, a car, um, and the type of women we choose to engage in activities such as drinking and doing drugs with and things like that. Should you even be doing that? Should you be drinking with women without some type of it's getting to the point where it's almost like I don't even think maybe you should be drinking with women in private. You know, there should be some type of person around that can hold you or accountable, or hold the situation accountable, or serve as a witness, or there should be cameras present. Like I think that being in public is really the way to go, because at least other people can vouch for what happened in the situation. But so many men are brought down in private situations with women that involve drugs, alcohol, or sex. And it's like that is how people are destroyed, through their lusts, through the things that they want, through the desires that they have. So keep those desires in check. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. If you're single and you're living your life, live your life. You know what I'm saying? But certain things can help. Like again, if you're gonna drink and you got a woman involved with you, don't get intoxicated. Don't get past intoxicated. Keep yourself, tipsy, but in a sober mind where you can think and make the right choices, especially if you're someone who can't control your alcohol. Just don't do it. Just literally don't do it. If you're someone who needs to smash everything that walks, you need to seriously get therapy. Go, like, do an evaluation and find out what's really wrong with you, that you feel the need to smash everything that's moving. You know what I mean? Like, because I mean, if you got a partner or two, maybe, I mean, I'm not trying to cap how much partners you have, but I'm just saying, like, there should be a point where you're good, where, like, you're not making bad choices and reckless decisions to get a nut. And I feel like a lot of men do that. They'll make reckless, crazy decisions to get a nut. And it's like, bruh, it's not worth it, bruh. It, like, just for this nut, it's not worth it. Like, you can be in jail. You can lose your livelihood, lose your life over trying to get a nut. And I don't think people realize that. I don't think a lot of men are accepting that truth. So quit the drinking, the drugs and stuff like that. Be responsible. If you're gonna be in a car, you drive. You drive. Don't have nobody driving. Don't engage in no arguing. Don't engage in no fighting. If two women get involved in a fighting situation with you, exit the situation. Get out the car. Call an Uber. Don't be around it. If you see people around you getting into altercations, get out of the situation. I'm telling you. As men, this is what we got to do, not just to protect our freedom, but to protect our lives. So don't make these mistakes that Tory made. Have some self control, gentlemen. Like, you don't have to have every woman that comes along your way. All pussy ain't good pussy. All money ain't good money. All opportunities ain't good opportunities. Use your discernment and take your time to properly vet and know what type of person or situation you're dealing with, because you do not want to end up like Tory Lanez. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. This has been your boy Big Clout, without a doubt. Um, we out here still saying protect black men, and love yourself, love each other, love your people, and I am out.